Nikolai Ehlers and the Carolina Hurricane agree to a 6-year, $51 million deal. The Buffalo Sabres wrap up development camp today. For more on camp happenings, our own Paul Hamilton has more at WGR550.com. Cleveland Guardians pitcher Luis Ortiz was placed on non-disciplinary leave today due to a gambling investigation. And a battle for the top spot in the AL East between the Yankees and Blue Jays tonight in Toronto with a 7:07 first pitch. The Brewers are in New York to take on the Mets with a 7:10 first pitch, and the Bisons in action tonight against the Red Wings with first pitch set for 6:05 over on our sister station, the Bet 1520. That's your Padox Chevrolet Sports Update. Padox Chevrolet, celebrating 90 years of being your hometown dealership. I'm Joe Cali for WGR Sports Radio 550.
My dad's not here right now. He's still at work. So I'm going to blast him.
Mike Schopp and the Bulldog.
I'm going to see if there's a clean version so that my parents and the people at my school will not get mad at me. We've got the spritzer filled with water just in case if stuff gets too fire. I'm going to set up the speaker and I'm going to listen to
Mike Schopp and the Bulldog.
I think this is the best
Mike Schopp
feature that I've heard in a long time. I think his flow is really good in it, and I like his aggressiveness on it, and
the Bulldog.
Put not enough effort in it. I think overall his flow was good, but I don't like that mobile rapping. That was my review of
Mike Schopp and the Bulldog.
Didn't need a spritzer. Wasn't fire enough. No spritzer for you. No spritzer.
No spritzer. So it's our Friday show.
Yes, it is.
Apparently. Fine with that.
Yeah, me too. I got no issues with that.
I've been confused all week about what day it is.
Yeah, the hump day thing yesterday kind of threw me. But yeah.
Everything. Like, I don't know. July 1st felt like the end of the week. That was Tuesday. So I was in trouble on Tuesday, thinking I was about to heading to the weekend.
Well, and you really blew it out on Tuesday too. I mean, all that texting you did to arrange that incredible lineup of guests that we had.
That too. That felt like a Friday occasion, like sort of a.
Well, for me, the triggers of July 1st, because often, like last few years, I've been off. I've missed that day. But for a very long time since we've been working together, that would be the last day for me before vacation. Like, it's my birthday, my family's already in Canada, but it's free agency day, so I'm going to work, and we're going to put our time in sitting here pouting because nothing is happening, but I'm here because, it's whatever, responsibility. And so when my birthday comes, I have a very hard time thinking I'm not about to go on like a 10-day vacation at the beach. So having to get up yesterday and today and come here and do this is still, even though it's been 4 years since we've been 5 years since we've been to the cottage. It's gone. It's even been torn down, sold and torn down. I still feel like on July 1st, I got to get over the Peace Bridge. It's time to go. If I got enough beer for the 4th of July party, like that's my headspace still on my birthday. So
there used to be a playground.
There used to be, yes.
Last night for me, I went to watch my son play indoor lacrosse in Thorold, St. Catharines. He plays for St. Catharines. And then got home not too late, like 9, and wanted the Blue Jays. I knew they were up 7-0 in the first inning, and then I knew it was 8-7, and wanted to catch the end of that game. Couldn't find it. Was it in a special place last night? I don't know. I couldn't find it.
I didn't spend any time with TV last night myself.
So I instead watched the second game of the '83 Sabres-Canadian series.
Sure. Well, that's a choice. Yep.
And I just loved it. You know who wins goes a long way toward choosing an old game to watch, however interesting it is. There are ones that I mean, random games in any sport that come up where I won't know who wins, and that's fun too. But the Sabres winning a playoff game in Montreal by shutout for the second night in a row, I wanted to see that. I found the first game randomly last week, watched that, and loved it. And so I didn't even look ahead to see if Game 2 was on YouTube, but it was. And so I watched Game 2, the whole thing. 2 hours, 40 minutes. The whole thing.
Commercials and all?
Some of the commercials were taken out. Intermissions were left in.
All right.
Bobby Orr sitting down with Gordie Howe. I skipped through that. I didn't care about that. Didn't really care about. I like the updates. I like the highlights from the other games.
Yeah, okay. Here's what else is going on in the playoffs tonight. Yeah.
All 8 series were playing at the same time.
Wow.
1983 first round. All 8 series were playing this on this same night. Game 2, Sabres Canadians. It'd be tough trivia who scores the Sabres 3 goals in this game. But one of the, I'm not going to make you try unless you want to. One of the 3 players' name came up on the show earlier this week. I thought it was a funny coincidence that this player scored in this game, given how his name came up earlier in the week.
I wish I could remember earlier in the week.
Mal Davis.
Mal Davis, okay, right.
So it's McCourt early from Perro. Perro makes a great pass, just like behind the goal line. McCourt just buries it. Dale McCourt. Probably should do the first names now. It's been 42 years.
Yeah,
Dale McCourt.
That'd be a good idea.
Then
cool helmet guy, McCourt. Had
a fat helmet.
Rounder, like Northland helmet or something. I don't remember the name now for sure, but it was, like big round helmet.
Sealing makes the play in the beginning, Rick Sealing, on the right wing boards. Robinson's, Montreal has lost game 1 at home. Big Robinson's coming for him, and he comes in high, and Sealing sort of ducks it, and then it's Gilbert, and then it's McCourt, 1-0. Like, what a start. Second period, Gilles Hamel.
Okay.
On a slap shot, maybe on a power play, on a slap shot from the right top, of the zone on the right. 2-0. And then the third goal comes right after. You will not believe this goal. You might remember it. I mean, I didn't. It's a random playoff goal from more than 40 years ago, but it's insane. Mike Ramsey gets in. Mm-hmm. Think of Tony Ludman having a breakaway in the Carolina series.
Right.
Ramsey dekes a Canadiens defenseman at the blue line to the outside and goes in from the left wing. Right in on it's Wamsley. Mm-hmm. And
that's Rick Wamsley, folks.
Rick Wamsley. Yes, I forgot my own rule already. And I don't know if he falls down or he's tripped or what happens, but Ramsey just goes down right in front of the crease and just plows into Wamsley. And the puck sits there, and Mal Davis just taps it into the net. Goal, counts.
Right.
This never would have counted. Maybe this was the play that led to the rule change. I don't know.
There'd be goaltender interference reviews, and right.
I guess somebody must have tripped him because they let it.
Did he go in there on his own?
Yeah, they must. Having no replay is glorious. Everything's just going to stand, but he must get tripped, and he is down, and he is just like he's on a sled or something, right into the goal, right through the goalie. The net stays on because they had the poles.
Right, that's safe.
The moorings.
That's
right,
really safe. Yeah,
they changed that to magnets, the Megs nets.
Right.
The Megs nets. But they still had the poles in 1983. So the goalie's blasted out of there. The net doesn't move. The puck doesn't move. And they're 3-0. Goal stands. And it's just the best. The fans are just booing the Canadiens for the rest of the night. Because the Sabres they're not giving them anything.
Mm-hmm.
The first period, okay, so Montreal, it's a best of 5. It's 1-0 Sabres. Mm-hmm. Montreal probably has to win. The teams were very close during the season.
These are road games. They're coming back to Buffalo for games 3 and 4.
Right.
Yeah, right.
So it's a huge game in a short series. Montreal's down 1-0 at home. And the McCourt goal is in the second minute of the game. And the game is maybe more than halfway through the first period. And Danny Gallivan, Dick Irvin, Don Cherry, CBC. Either Gallivan or Dick Irvin during a stoppage brings up, Montreal doesn't have a shot yet. And something about the shots on goal clock, because they show the shots on goal clock, and it's 5 visitor in French, visiteur, 5, 5. Canadian, it's just blank. It's not even a 0. It's just blank. It's just dark.
That is stark. And
they say to Cherry, they point out, so Don Cherry coached the Bruins for so many years. He's broadcast. I don't know if he's still coaching too, but he's in the booth for this series.
Nobody's between the benches.
Nobody's between the benches, which, frankly, I don't care about between the benches. Why do we need that?
How did we manage to watch hockey for all those years without someone between the benches telling us, there's a lot of chatter on the Edmonton bench?
Why do we need that? Does it add anything? So anyway, 3 guys, incredibly, none of them is between the benches, all talking. And I think Gallivan might say to Cherry, he might point out that there isn't a shots on goal clock in Boston Garden, and how he's annoyed by that. And Cherry tells him, I'll tell you why. I got it taken out of there. Because in this very situation, if the Bruins didn't have a shot into the first period, I know what would happen when they got there first, because people would see that clock. Mm-hmm. And when they'd all be thinking about it. And when the first Bruins shot on goal happened, the fans would give you the Bronx cheer, and I didn't want that. Mm-hmm. So he said the other announcers did not know this story. He had the shots on goal clock removed from the Boston Garden.
That's a move.
Like, I'm so happy I couldn't find the Blue Jays. I just love this, everything about it. Yep. The Sabres are kicking butt, and that's a great story that I was excited to share in here, because who's ever even conceived of that? But like, the coach gets the shots on goal clock removed from the arena, and Gallivan tweaks him too. He's like, in so many words, like, so it's your fault. It's like that we can't have nice things because
right.
Like, he sort of says something like that.
You're worried about your fragile little team for some reason. It's the Boston Bruins.
Yeah, suck it up.
You're telling me Stan Jonathan's going to cry if they boo because they got a shot on goal? Like, what are you talking about?
Suck it up. Yeah. Suck it up. So here are the Sabres. They win this game. They're up 2 games in the series, 1983. They do win the 3rd game for the sweep. I can't find it. I was so excited this morning to look for. Can't find it, especially if I could have found CBC. I found the intros in the odd, but the player
before the
introductions
game,
before the game, and I don't recognize the voice. I don't think it's Milt Ellis.
Wow.
I don't recognize the voice.
Huh.
He introduces the Canadian starters and the rest of the team. It's all very normal, and the crowd's booing. And then the crowd the odd crowd stands up, everybody's screaming. And here are the Sabres starters, left wing, Gilbert Perreault. And Perreault comes on, and then you see whoever's next, maybe McCourt, comes on. And the announcer's like 2 guys behind. Like, then it's Sealing, and then it's Ramsey, and then it's Bill Height maybe, and then it's Sauvé, and the place just explodes. 2 road shutouts in the playoffs.
Yep.
And the announcer just gives up. And they go to Ted Darling, who's been waiting for this as the play-by-play announcer for this game, for the Sabres broadcast, of course. And although he was Hockey Night in Canada, so maybe it's not, of course. But he points out, the broadcasters point out, like, the announcer just decided not to bother.
He bailed out.
The crowd was so loud.
Couldn't be heard.
And then eventually he gets around to saying the other names. I wish I knew who it was. Maybe somebody knows who that would be.
I never knew that there was anyone else who ever did that. I mean, maybe an illness or something. I don't know. I just don't remember any other voice in that building besides Milt Ellis.
Yep. I'd love to find the game and listen for. Maybe they had somebody just do that. Somebody else.
Oh, the introductions, and maybe he did the stuff during the game.
I've watched the 70s Soviet games back, and Milt is the voice of the introductions. So anyway, I mean, thanks for indulging me on this. 1983, yikes. What happened to that team? Like, they win that series. They do not win another playoff series for literally 10 years.
Right.
And this team, the CBC guys are like, they are set. Phil Housley, as an 18-year-old,
right,
is like not dominant, but a prominent player on the team. Like, on the power play, there's Housley. You've got Andrechuk, who's a scratch, but still, I mean, he's in the Hall of Fame. They're both in the Hall of Fame, and they're on this Sabres team as teenagers.
Right.
Barrasso maybe too, although he is not dressed. I don't know his status in 83.
Yeah, I don't either. I feel like he came right in when he. So is he already drafted by them? By then,
weren't they all 3 together, or were they 2 and 1?
I don't know. I
don't think he's a part of this team.
I'd be surprised if he were, because I feel like when he got here, he went right in.
Phil Meir is the backup to Sauvé in 83. So you've got youth. Mike Ramsey is young. And we know he's going to have a fabulous career.
Right, he's only 3 years into his career.
Right. So you've got him. Sauvé, who is, he wasn't the world's greatest, but he was good, had won a Vezina by this time. He had been traded to the Red Wings in the Gare trade, but come back.
Right.
So on this 82-83 team, he is back with the Sabres, and he's 27, I think they said, for this series. And you've got Foligno, who's young and good, and McCourt, and these other young guys. I mean, they are just absolutely all over the Canadians in these games. It's so good. It's just not a Sabres team we know. We don't think of the Sabres being this way. But they were just all over Montreal, checking, not giving up hardly any chances for most of these two games. And there are a lot of young players, Hamel, Sear, and you've got Gilbert. Gilbert only has 3 years left. But he's still good. I mean, in this series, he stands out. He's the captain.
This is spring of 83.
Yes.
All right. Barrasso, 83-84 is his first season with the Sabres. I'm looking at his stats.
Okay, and he's right out of high school.
Right.
And so was Housley.
Yes.
Minnesota.
Right. So they're a year apart. I think if Housley's the 83 draft, I think, or the 82 draft, excuse me.
I've got work to do because this is all just so interesting. And you've got Scotty Bowman, who is going to Montreal with his Sabres now and sweeping them. And it's just to the moon, right? I mean, you've got the coach,
right?
You've got the blend of young and old, and you've got a physical.
You're shutting down the Montreal Canadiens in the first two games in Montreal.
Not their best team. This isn't
right.
We're post dynasty by 3-4 years now. It's they went out early in 81 and 82 also, but still, Lafleur, Schutt,
there's big
Robinson.
Names. There's big familiar names there.
Yeah, and it's just okay, how did this get away from them in that they would not win another series for 10 years with Bowman, with the youth? I mean, good to great players, vets, the style of play. I don't know. What's the answer? Van Boxmeer? What's the answer?
It's Pagula's fault.
Maybe. Yeah. That's obviously.
Hey-o.
We rehearsed this, and Bulldog told me that was going to be his line, and I still went for it.
Regrettable. On my part more than yours.
I just fell in love with this team. They're my new darlings, the 83 Sabres, even though I know this game that I can't find is their last. It's almost like the 80s were not as bad as this, but were like this.
Right. Well, that's what I'm thinking here right now is the frustration from 83 to 93 of not getting out of the first round felt, like a death sentence. What are we doing here? Like you're saying, there were good players here and a great, legendary coach. It's the only place he didn't win in his NHL career, really. Even St. Louis. I mean, he didn't win a cup in St. Louis, but he got to the finals with St. Louis.
Maybe 3 times.
Yeah, right. Because just the way it worked with the new expansion, whatever. Anyway, and I remember in '93, just how exhilarating it was. Oh, they beaten the Bruins. They got out of the first round. This hasn't happened in 10 years. Wow. And now here now, presently, it's 14 years, and you can't even get, all we're asking for is just get in the first, be Montreal last year. Get in, be overmatched, go home. Thanks for coming. And we can't even get that. That can't even get in the air here.
Well, what happened to these guys? I mean, 84 and 85 are both Quebec losses. First round, Quebec. 84 was a rout, a sweep, I think. And I went to one of those games and remember how angry the crowd was. It's so cruel, isn't it?
Yes.
I mean, these are teams that might have had 90 to 100 points, and just like that Canadiens crowd in the game I watched, just a game and a half into the playoffs, and you just feel like this is over.
We don't have any time for you.
Booing the whole time,
right.
It's so sudden. Those games were back to back too, Wednesday, Thursday, like they used to do, and it's just and that I think the Quebec game I went to might have been 6-2. And it was just so unfun. It's just everybody's so mad, and the Sabres are getting blown out. 85 is the Ashton goal. 85 is the 5-game series where they get down 2 in Quebec and then win 2, but then go to Quebec game 5, 5-3 lead and lose. And I think that's it. I think when that happened, Gilbert's on the team. Bowman, I think, is still coaching that team in 85. And it's going to be a lot of those guys, Housley and all of them. Not Barrasso's in net, but it's mostly like the whole team, the same team, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they lose in the first round again, and then the next year they finish last. That's Turgeon.
Right.
So and Bowman's out, and all of it's, not blown up. A lot of those guys stayed, through the whole Foligno and Housley and Andrechuk were here for most of that 10 years. But still, I was really, really interested in it. Man, these guys are good. And they really are set up to win. And, they've got the coach. When did the Sabres ever have the coach?
Almost never
They
in
got
their
the
history.
best coach ever.
Right.
And they're winning, and it just died. The Brad Park.
Yeah.
Brad Park, Ashton.
Overtime game 7, right?
Overtime game 7. Ashton is late game 5 in a best of 5. And then it's like the dead zone. And a long time before it's Hasek when they get back up. I mean, Hasek's in net for Mayday.
Right.
It's not until him. And it's coaches way past Bowman. Who is that coach? Muckler? Who's the 93 coach?
Yeah, Muckler, I think, is there by then. Or Dudley. I don't know. Like
Dudley?
I feel like that went back and forth a few times. I have to look at the Wikipedia page of the history and lineage of the coaches and GMs. But Muckler, I think, took over behind the bench more than one time during, and Scotty did that too. I think, didn't he? There was like Ramsey, a coach for a little bit, and maybe even Schoenfeld.
Yeah. For a few games.
Right. Never
Ramsey.
like a permanent thing. Yeah.
I don't know what that was.
But I feel like I remember, I know Dudley is in there somewhere with a young Rob Ray and all that. But I don't know, which years are which exactly.
I just wonder, I was 11 years old for that Montreal series, and I don't have any recollection of this. And how much media was there to consume anyway? There was the paper. But what was the feeling about where they were on the growth chart? It probably seemed close to miraculous how they went from the French Connection years. By 80, Robert is gone. Martin is gone or almost gone.
Yeah.
They make the Gare trade a year or two after that. So there's all this movement, but there they are in 83, and they look like they're kind of perfect. Maybe there's not like a alpha superstar on that team. They didn't have that. But it must have felt so good how they had built that. And you're used to success too with the Sabres by then. Their entire history, most of it is playoffs and playoff runs and success. It's a long time ago. I just wonder if it felt like an ending, or if it was more like, no, we're going to be good for a long time because look at the young players we have and they're promising.
Yeah, I don't really remember. I just wasn't following it as closely as I did even, I don't know if I want to say prior, but certainly later on. I was way more in tune, but yeah, I doubt that we saw or thought, oh, this team is going to miss the playoffs for a few years in a row and get the number 1 overall pick. Just beating Montreal like that in the first round series, even though you lost, it's overtime game 7 in the second round. Yeah, let's bring it all back. Let's go. What's happening next year, right? And just it didn't work for a couple of years there.
Not everybody is into the old games, but I'm excited to talk to Joe about this one because there are some 83. It's a little bit of is it a transition moment in hockey history with you're going from the Bullies and Brawls into the Oilers, through the Islanders into the Oilers, and it's 14-4 games, crazy. Then goaltending gets better. It's a really interesting moment for the Sabres and for the league, for the Canadians. Kind of the end of their thing. Finally is right around there too. Bob Barry is their coach for this series.
We'd have been here a while trying to get me to guess who the Montreal coach was, if that's Bob Barry.
Bob Barry.
No.
What a move by Minnesota's Lou Nanne. He was the GM, was involved in USA Hockey, was the GM of the North Stars.
Another big helmet guy.
Was he?
Yeah.
I don't know him
helmet.
as a player.
I think he had the same helmet as McCourt.
Lou Nanne apparently goes behind the bench for the playoffs. He fires the coach.
Yeah.
for the playoffs, not a month before.
Right.
Like his first game on bench is game one against the Leafs.
Right.
That's a move. All right. Thanks for being with us today. Next, Sam Panayotovich wants to talk about the hot dog eating contest. We'll let him. He wrote about it. We'll let him. It was part of the deal to have him come on during vacation on a Thursday.
Out of some sense of obligation, I read every word that he wrote about the hot dog eating contest, and I have never been more informed about it and upset.
On that note, Armando Salguero as well. We'll talk about what Miami's up to with the trade with the Steelers and more. Always a good conversation with him. Mike Schopp and the Bulldog. This is WGR.
Yeah, the last record, 76 in 10 minutes, is a tough record to beat. It's going to be a hard one. It'll take perfect conditions, like not too hot. If it's windy, the hot dogs get cold. But if you have enough warmth, like 78 degrees, 75. If it's kind of dry outside, the buns get stale. So you need to have like fast buns, warm dogs, not too hot.
Fast buns. Warm dogs.
This is a new one for me. I know of the hot dog eating contest. I don't really know the rules too well, and I never even thought for a second about weather mattering.
Well, because I read what Sam sent to me, and I think to you, I read that quote earlier today. Again, out of a sense of duty. Wanted to be ready for Sam. So I knew that conditions can impact the hot dog eating contest. Prior to 2 hours ago when I read this, I would have never thought such a thing.
It wasn't a Chestnut quote. It was, well, he did use a Chestnut quote in the article, but what I read was a different quote about if it's too hot, the pace slows down. If it's on the cooler side, the food gets cold. Is one better than the other? I kind of baffled. But I like it that way. Joining us to talk about this and more, Sam Panayotovich, the host of Bet Sweats, Odyssey Sports Betting Insider, willing on his vacation to find time for us on this July 3rd, Thursday. Be sure to catch Sam's show with Joe Ostrowski, 9 to noon weekdays on the Bet 1520 and the Odyssey app.
Sam, this will not go, I don't know that I'll ever do anything to recognize it, but I just want to be heard saying to you on our show that the combination of those factors, the 3rd of July, and you're on vacation, and you're here, I don't think I'll ever forget this moment.
Wow.
Vacation's a myth, guys. You know that.
Yeah, you're like, I just wrote 600 words on a hot dog eating event. I can find time for this. What is this event for you? Is this something you feel like you have to care about professionally? Or, I mean, I don't care about it, but I love that you can bet it. It's one of those for me.
I bet the hot dog contest for the first time in 2015. So it's something I'm more willing to discuss and more knowledgeable than I'd maybe care to admit, but it's something that we've been able to do for some time. Now, you can't bet it in every state, and I'm not sure about the rules in New York, but for example, some states you can't bet it. Like I can't bet this in Nevada. Some books in Illinois don't even take it, but I do remember betting on Matt Stoney. This was one of those weird years where Joey Chestnut didn't win, and Chestnut's won it 16 times now, the Nathan's contest. So he has 16 mustard belt championships. Mm-hmm. But this kid, Matt Stoney, comes out of nowhere, and as funny as it is to admit, I have a buddy who I consider a hot dog sharp. I know you guys are going to laugh, but he studies this stuff. He studies what they eat in other fields and other competitions. And he said, Sam, bet this Matt Stoney over 40.5. I know nothing about Matt Stoney. He eats 62 and wins the contest. And from that point, I'm hooked.
Is there a DK Buns or DK Dogs or anything like that? Like DK Horse? You got a horse guy, you got a hot dog guy.
DraftKings actually has the biggest menu in the contest. A lot of the books don't have stuff. I didn't see anything at BetMGM this morning. I don't know if FanDuel has anything. It's not, a market that's up everywhere. But if you go to DraftKings right now, you can look at the individual totals on a lot of the eaters. And my favorite is you can do the matchups. You can take Joey Chestnut against Bertoletti, and they put a spread on it. This sounds so degenerate as I say it out loud, but yes. I mean, this is going to write more action than a Sunday night baseball game. Like in terms of context, how many people actually bet this across the country? There's a huge appetite, no pun intended,
to
bet this. And guess what? It's a 10-minute event, so you don't have to wait 2-3 hours to know your result. You're going to know right away and then move on with your life.
Things I see at the top of my FanDuel page, Aussie rules football, darts, cricket, MMA, and then the rest of the usual suspects here, and nothing on the hot dog eating.
They put those things above, like, baseball and...
No, those things were at the tail end. I was,
okay.
No, baseball, but there is Japanese baseball listed here, but no, nothing on the hot dogs.
Is any particular sport, like, is it relative popularity means softer lines, less interest? I mean, that seems to make sense that, say, the NFL might be the hardest to win at by that logic.
So it's a fair question. I think the initial numbers that go up are off. And I'll give you a perfect example. Like the first number I saw on over-under dogs and buns for Bertoletti, who won last year, was 49.5. And I saw that number, and Joe and I talked about it on the show last week. This is last Wednesday or Thursday, 49.5. And I said, that's too low. By the time you get to the event tomorrow, which is scheduled for noon Eastern, you're going to have the tightest hot dog lines in the world. I'm literally saying this all tongue-in-cheek. Like, I'm trying to take this seriously because it is a serious thing. But, like, his number right now is 53.5, 54.5. So it's already moved 5 dogs in 7 or 8 days. And by the time you get to the day of an event, whether it be Sunday NFL, Saturday college football, these lines have all been sort of beaten into shape. And you're going to see over money, and then eventually the number gets too high, and you're going to get under money. But it's not unlike your traditional market that's up 6, 7, 8 days, where maybe the numbers are bad early, but by the time you get to the event, they're about as good as they can be.
And the clip that we came in with here of Joey Chestnut talking about the weather being a factor is that, I mean, obviously we can have a weather forecast, but still the day of, you just never know. Like, will that affect these lines tomorrow? Like, if it's hotter than we thought it was going to be, or it's cooler or breezier than we thought it was going to be?
Chestnut's probably one of the hardest guys to pin down in terms of a number. We did see him eat 76 back in 2021, but guys, that's 4 years ago. And I mean, as somebody who's, crossed through age 35 recently, like, I can't eat the way I used to. So, Joey Chestnut's 4 or 5 years older. It's going to be more difficult. So we didn't see him last year because he was banned. Right. He signed some sponsorship with Impossible Foods, and Major League Eating said, yeah, you're not going to eat this year. So he didn't. But his last 3 competitions, he went 76, 63, 62. So when you look at that over-under this year, Bulldog, it's 71.5. It's just basically right in the middle.
Yeah.
And they're guessing. The bettors are guessing. I don't necessarily want to bet against the guy, but I looked at the high for tomorrow, and it's like 71 degrees at Coney Island. And he was on a podcast last week on Barstool where he was basically saying, like, if it's too hot, I sweat and I run out of gas. If it's too cold, though, the wind comes in and cools down those dogs. So, I mean, again, I'm trying to take this seriously. I don't know that there's an edge over or under on Chestnut. I mean, on the surface, it feels a little bit high, considering his age and considering what he's done the last couple of years. But I think the best bet that you can make right now, you can take Bertoletti plus 17.5 dogs against Chestnut. I think Joey's going to eat about 67. So then I would need Bertoletti to eat at least 50 because I'm adding 17.5 to his total. So if it goes, 63-54, yeah, Chestnut's going to win, but only by 9. So I'm going to cover the 17.5.
I love that there's a spread there. That is just the best.
This is really fun. I'm closer than I've ever been to watching it from this conversation. So indirectly, you're kind of selling the event. Sam Panayotovich, the hot dog eating contest is tomorrow, 4th of July tradition. This is the first time, I'm sure, that we've talked to you while watching the Rockies. The Rockies-Astros game is on MLB Network right now. Fittingly, Houston scores as you're talking to go ahead in this game, but it's still early. I'm interested in your take on the Blue Jays, Sam. So they have caught the Yankees. They've won the first 3 games of their series. Game 4 is tonight. Are they legit? Did you see this coming?
No, not from Toronto. I thought if any team was going to do it, it'd be Tampa, to be honest with you, in that division. But, look, I never thought the Yankees were this rock-solid, clear-cut favorite, because think about all the injuries they've had to deal with. You come into the season without Garrett Cole and Luis Seal. Soto's playing for a different team now. And Stanton was hurt, and a couple other injuries. So I remember that win total before the season. It opened 93.5 on the Yanks, and I think it closed about 86.5, 87.5. So there was some serious support anti-Yankees. That said, I mean, they still have the most talented roster in the division, but it's funny how that works. If you were to ask me right now, like, who would I bet to win the East, it's probably the Yankees at minus 170, considering they were minus 300 coming into spring training. They're relatively cheap. But if you were going to ask me right now, if I say, all right, here, take $100, would I bet Toronto or Tampa to win the East? I'd probably go Tampa before Toronto.
How come?
I think their pitching is more elite on top. Their defense is very, very good, and really has been for a long time. I mean, that's Tampa Bay Rays baseball. They pitch and catch the ball extremely well, don't necessarily beat themselves in the field. They've got good leather. And I had a scout a long time ago when I was first coming up in Chicago. He told me, look, when the Rays call you with a guy, hang up. Yeah. Because the Rays have gotten the most out of that bottle, right? The juice is already all out because they maximize maybe not the talent, but they find the potential in a lot of players at a lot of positions. So I just think organizationally, things are more sustainable in Tampa. I could be completely wrong about that this year, but more years than not, I'd much stock than Toronto stock.
It's really nice how the Red Sox don't even get to enter this conversation, Sam. Like, what has happened to that franchise?
I worked at NESN, so I know a little bit more than the average bear, and my theory has always been that it's just a part of the portfolio there for John Henry. When they came in, early 2000s, that was their only baby, right? It was their baby boy, and they put a lot of money into it and paid guys like Manny Ramirez and traded for Curt Schilling and did a lot of this stuff. Well, then they win 4 World Series and decide, well, let's do other stuff. Let's buy Liverpool, and let's buy the Pittsburgh Penguins. And I always thought, because LeBron's an investor in Fenway Sports Group, when LeBron retires, who better than LeBron and John Henry to move the NBA to Vegas? It makes total sense. So I just don't think they treat that team like it's a big market team anymore. And I saw a picture when they traded Devers, what would that have been, 2 or 3 weeks ago? It's a picture in the dugout of Xander Bogaerts, Mookie Betts, and Rafi Devers. And they didn't keep any of them long term. The fans are irate, but people still go. They still sell out. They still make money. They just got valued at $5 billion. So why would they put the money into the product when the people are going anyways, and they're going to fill Fenway Park? And that's what it is. They're treated like a small market team in one of the most major markets in sports, and they get away with it. That's what's happening in Boston.
It's so gross.
This is how we used to talk about the Pittsburgh Pirates, but not anymore. I mean, now they're just a juggernaut. So those days are over, I'm sure.
Right.
They'll be buyers in the next month.
I'm getting back up there, Sam, finally. It's been since before I was married, since I have been to Fenway Park, but my oldest son and I are coming up mid-August for a Saturday afternoon game. So
please tell me I'm going to be there, because I'm going to be in Vegas August 16th. If that's
that's the game. Yeah, the Marlins, August 16th, Saturday, August 16th. We're driving in, driving out, like Saturday, overnight, back Sunday.
Should have checked
just
with
the
them
two
first.
of us, but that was the only game we could fit into our schedules. The two of us, more me than him. But anyway, so we'll miss you. That is disappointing.
Sam,
so I've missed you in Buffalo. I'm going to miss you in Boston. That means I need to see you in like Punta Cana or something like that.
Right. We'll get to work on that.
I guess this means he's not going to Vegas either. How about the Miami-Pittsburgh NFL trade, Sam? Did it mean anything to bettors?
Not to the bettors. The total didn't change on either side. The Pittsburgh number really started to shift a little bit when Aaron Rodgers made it official that he was going there. Look, a quarterback is going to move a win total, move a future market, not a guy in the secondary. And, I looked at the win totals on both teams before the move and then after the move, and nothing has changed. Steelers win total did hike up a bit, though, when they got Rodgers. So that number was like 8.5, and now it's like 8.5 juiced over. So it's not like even Aaron Rodgers, with everything he's done in his career, moves the win total like a half a win, kind of. But not really much of a change. I'm looking at most books right now. Pittsburgh 8.5 on the win total. So it was 8 before Rodgers. Now it's a lot more, 8.5. But no, when you flip guys in the secondary, as great as both of those guys are, they're not worth much. I mean, an elite defensive back right now in the NFL is worth like a point. So if one of these guys isn't going to play and the point spread is 5, the line goes to 4. Like that, it sounds minimal that a guy like that on both ends is only worth a point. But, the greatest defensive player of all time, I was told, was Lawrence Taylor. And that guy's worth 3.5 points. So that is a lot. 1 point, relatively speaking, is a lot, considering that Lawrence Taylor was worth 3.5.
I was told means no recollection of watching him, too young.
I was born in '89. What do you think?
Okay, yeah, got my answer. Does an alternate line on either the Dolphins or the Steelers to be terrible interest you? Because these are both teams where people talk like they should be terrible. I mean, the Steelers never are, but Miami, you wonder which direction they're going. Can you get like an under 5.5 wins for these teams? I'm sure you could probably get anything. I wonder if you'd be interested in betting like a hard against either one.
I really think that that's a good bet under right now. I mean, I can go under 6.5 at BetMGM at plus 155. If you want to go under 5.5, 4.5, by all means, go for it. I did have to laugh. I saw what Raheem Mostert tweeted the other day. Like, oh, wow, like that's what happens when you're good in Miami. They just get rid of you. And I'm like, oh, all right, well, that's interesting. But also, I'm not sure that this McDaniel experiment is going to last much longer. I think he came in hot. They had some success early, but I get a lot of Joe Madden vibes from him, where he's the smartest guy in the room. Everybody knows it. And I'm not trying to compare them like, accolades and achievements-wise, but Madden at the end in Chicago was not well-liked because he knew everything. And the worst part for Madden was that he won the World Series in Chicago. So he could do no wrong until he did wrong, and then they got rid of him. But McDaniel just has that vibe where he knows better than everybody, and his finesse is better than your strength. And they couldn't run the ball a lot of times last year. And I just think a lot of players there have a lot of combustibility. So, yeah, under 5.5, under 4.5, you're going to get nice payouts. But I don't think that's a good football team this year. I'll be willing to sell stock on the Dolphins.
It feels like a lot of what they've done has been from a culture standpoint, right? Like try to clean house, get bad attitudes out of here, but at what cost, right? I mean, talent void could. It's fine to have everybody getting along better and maybe listening to the coach and showing up for meetings on time and all the other things that go along with that. But where are the good players?
I also think this is a very pivotal year for McDaniel.
Oh my gosh!
I mean, this is the fourth year. This is year 4. If they make the playoffs this year, it saves his job. If it goes the other way and this falls apart and the team blows up from the inside, you're looking at 4-13, and he's fired. I think there's a huge range there, and you're going to see some of these books put up markets on first coach fired. I think he should be one of the first guys on that list because this is a make or break it for him.
I 100% agree.
They do have the AFC East schedules this year are not tough, so you'd need New England to be good. You'd need a couple other surprises, I think, or the Dolphins just be like horrendous. One more. You brought this team up in a recent conversation of ours, and I wanted to tell you I have really talked myself into them in the other direction, and that's Dallas. I can see that offense being incredible, and most of it will be passing. Like Prescott back, Pickens added to Lamb. I'm giving Pickens some benefit of the doubt here, some leeway. But Ferguson's good. They don't have a good running back, but I don't know that I even care. And they always have a good line. It's first-round picks up and down the line. So impact players on defense. I could see Dallas having a year.
You do not need a good running back. A line is much more important than a running back, unless you have Saquon Barkley or Christian McCaffrey or Ashton Genty or something like that. But most lines make the running backs. I just wanted to actually point out, too, I was looking at the Patriots as you were talking about that. So the Dolphins win total is like 6.5, 7.5. The Patriots up to 8.5. So the books are already saying, like, not New England's already better than Miami for the record. But, yeah, man, look, if Dak and most importantly, Micah Parsons stay on the field, they're a playoff team. They're a double-digit win team in the regular season. Now, that's a much different conversation if we start talking about can they win the division, can they win the NFC, can they win the Super Bowl. I'm very pumped the brakes on that, but why can't they go over a very low win total in a division that hasn't had a repeat champion since 2004? It's one of those weird things where you have to expect the unexpected. And, again, if Dak and Parsons are on the field, they're good enough to win 10, 11, 12 games. There's no reason they can't.
For all their wealth, no NFC championship appearances since 95 when they won Super Bowl 30, and we will not ask Sam to tell us where he was for that one.
Good call.
No reason.
I think
to
I
ask
was
that
watching. I was watching Michael Jordan wear number 45 for the Bulls at that time.
Maybe. What's the first Super Bowl you remember? Maybe Denver?
Packers, Patriots, Desmond Howard.
Okay.
Right?
Right before Denver, yep. The year after this game. The year after this Dallas game, I think. 31. All right, Sam. Well, enjoy the, quote, vacation, what you have left of it anyway, and good luck tomorrow.
All right, everybody. Bertoletti, plus 17.5. That's the move against Chestnut.
There it is. Read about it at Fox Sports from Sam Panayotovich, and you can watch the event tomorrow afternoon. That's last year's winner he's talking about, Bertoletti.
But no Chestnut last year.
Did not compete.
Right.
Okay, Sam's show with Joe Ostrowski, Bet Sweats, weekday mornings 9 to noon on the Bet MGM network and on the Bet 1520. Armando Salguero coming up. Speaking of the Dolphins, we haven't talked to Armando in a while, and he covers the whole league. But whenever there's a Dolphins thing, we reach out to him, and he's always very accommodating. Hopefully he doesn't stiff us now because I said that. Ending a long streak of wonderful appearances.
Either stiff us or honor the commitment, but start yelling at us for always calling about the Dolphins.
Yeah, let's ask him about that.
There's all these other teams, guys.
Do you guys even know that I'm not just a local reporter anymore? Well, make sure he does know that we know that when we come back. Thanks for listening to us. July 3rd, we will not be here tomorrow. Armando Salguero hopefully will be with us here next. Mike Schopp and the Bulldog, WGR.
Camp today with their 3v3 scrimmage that was going on at Harbor Center. For more on that, Paul Hamilton does have a piece up at our website, WGR550.com. That does, though, send the Sabres into the offseason. We will see if they make any more moves. But speaking of moves, forward Nick Ehlers, the top unrestricted free agent available on the market, has picked his team. It is Carolina, a 6-year, $8.5 million per year contract for him. And speaking of contracts, the Steelers announced today that they have signed their general manager, Omar Khan, to a 3-year contract extension. It's going to keep him with the team through at least the 2028 season. Pittsburgh has had a busy off season. In baseball, battle at the top of the AL East. Winner of tonight between the Yankees and Blue Jays will sit atop the division. It is in Toronto, a 7:07 first pitch, while the Mets, they take on Milwaukee. That game also going off just after 7 o'clock. And the Bisons in action as well tonight. They are at home against Rochester. First pitch just after 6. And that game can be heard on our sister station, the Bet 1520. It's your Padox Chevrolet Sports Update. Padox Chevrolet celebrating 90 years of being your hometown dealership. I'm Zach Jones for WGR Sports Radio 550.
It's Mike Schopp and the Bulldog.
I got a speeding ticket in the mail yesterday.
In the mail?
Yeah. I think I'm going to just ignore it.
It's Mike Schopp
Where was this?
Spain.
and the Bulldog.
I think if I just lay low, I think I'll get away with it.
Not mention it on the air?
Definitely don't want to talk about it on the air.
It's Mike Schopp and the Bulldog
I like the sound of this more and more as we go. I'm an outlaw.
on WGR Sports Radio 550.
That saga continues.
Oh, yeah.
Welcome back, everybody. Mike Schopp and the Bulldog here, joined now on the Wester Hotline by Armando Salguero, longtime NFL reporter, frequent guest of our show, we are very proud to say. Armando, Bulldog and I were talking earlier, and we felt it was important for you to know that even though when there's a Dolphins thing or a Bills-Dolphins game is when we call you, we recognize that you do cover the whole league. I wanted to make sure you didn't think you were still at the Herald and just sort of on the beat.
Yeah, you also recognize that tomorrow is July 4th and nobody else is working, so you decided he'll do it. He's easy. He'll be a guest anytime.
Well, I can't say that I thought that, but we're very happy that you were free, at least for a few minutes here. So, speaking of the Dolphins, Armando,
Get ready for 20 minutes on the Dolphins,
the
Armando.
trade here. People are wondering what the Dolphins are doing. Do you think that that's fair to say?
I think the Dolphins should be wondering, what are we doing? What's going on? We're net minus on talent this offseason, and they are. They clearly are. They're not going to admit as much, obviously, but look, last year they signed Jalen Ramsey to an extension. And 1 year later, they trade him. Jalen Ramsey's good, and I know that he has a reputation as maybe hard to deal with, and maybe even among some, metrics nerds saying that he's declining. Guess what? He's still good, and he's definitely better than anyone else the Dolphins had at the cornerback position when he was on the team, and now that he's not on the team. And so that is a net minus that they found the need to trade him. The reason that they found the need to trade him is because he and head coach Mike McDaniel butted heads. They lost, as it was told to me, they lost respect for each other, which is not a great, situation when you had just, again, paid the guy last year and gave him a raise when you didn't really have to. So that's a negative. Teron Armstead retired. So their good left tackle is gone. That's a negative. Calais Campbell, who they wanted back, decided that he'd rather play for the Arizona Cardinals. So he saw a situation between the Dolphins, where he played collegiately in Miami, by the way, and Arizona, where obviously he had played previously, and decided the best place to be was Arizona. All of those guys that I just mentioned, they were team captains last year, and they're gone.
You mentioned the loss of respect on both sides of that relationship, Ramsey and the head coach McDaniel. Could that be partly or maybe mostly generated from the fact that the impression I get from this distance, and you can correct me if you know better, you probably would expect that you do, that McDaniel kind of lost control there, and guys were kind of coming and going and not as dialed in, and maybe Ramsey, observing that, thought, my head coach needs to take the reins here and take control, or was Ramsey like the ringleader of the guys just kind of doing whatever they want?
Well, I don't know that. I'll be honest with you. I don't know the exact details of why they went in different directions. It's easy to say that at the end of the year, Mike McDaniel, it's also accurate to say, which is good, said that the Dolphins needed a culture change because guys had been late to things and missing things and so forth. And I'm thinking, well, I mean, thanks, but you're in charge of that.
Right.
You're the guy that's got to fix that. The problem is that the guy that has to fix it had spent the first couple of years of his tenure being a quote-unquote player-friendly, maybe friend of players, easygoing guy, minimal rules. And now all of a sudden he wants culture change, right? That's hard to do. It's great to be the friend of the players when everything's going good. Things haven't been going good for the Dolphins the last couple of years. They missed the playoffs last year. And they started off looking terrible, and they still haven't been able to figure out how to beat good teams. And when you have all those things piling up, friendly coach trying to turn and shift the culture to hard-ass coach is a tough thing to do. Nearly impossible, I would say.
Right, if it's the same guy, especially. We went through this. This won't take long here, but I don't know if anybody else is thinking of Don Granato with the Sabres here in our audience.
Armando isn't.
I wouldn't think you would be, Armando, but we went through this with the hockey team. Like, he took over, and it was kind of like, all right, everybody just don't worry about making mistakes, and don't worry about defense. Just go play to the best of your ability, and then we'll figure the rest out and put the puzzle together. And then when it came time to put the puzzle together, it was just like, wait, the same guy that was our buddy and telling us to just go, off to the races is now telling us to be mindful about back checking, and it just doesn't compute. Even if it's reasonable to ask, it's just hard to have the same guy play both roles.
Absolutely. And no, I wasn't thinking about, right. the Sabres. I'm too busy shining up the Stanley Cup down here.
Right.
Oh, sick burn.
Right. Armando, tell us about Chris Greer and just kind of what explains a 9th or 10th season. 2016 is when he started, so I think this would be his 10th year, 25?
I don't know, dude. Don't ask me to
you don't know
that. I mean, and by the way, so we all know that the Dolphins have not won a playoff game since December of 2000.
Yes.
Right? They have the longest playoff win drought in the NFL. Chris Greer began working for the Miami Dolphins in 2002.
Oh.
And so throughout his tenure in the Dolphins scouting department, personnel department, front office, leading the front office, they have not won a playoff game. He hired or was part of the hiring of Adam Gase. Adam Gase was fired. He hired Brian Flores. Brian Flores was fired. he hired Mike McDaniel. Mike McDaniel now enters the season on the hot seat. And I don't understand how anyone survives that. I don't get it. I don't understand.
Now we're talking about the Sabres. Now we're really talking about the Sabres. And, it's Mike Greer's brother, for what it's worth. There are lots of parallels, Armando. Who knew?
I think Chris, clearly has his good points and clearly has brought together a lot of good talent. The problem is he does these things that just drive me crazy. Like, if a player has an injury history, Chris Greer will love that guy. And I don't understand why that is, considering the fact that the guys that come in with injury histories often guess what happens to them when they become Miami Dolphins. Oh, they get injured. So Jalen Phillips came to the Dolphins after having retired medically in college. He's missed most of the last 2 years because of injuries. Meantime, Greg Rousseau, who was his teammate at the University of Miami, got a contract extension with the Bills. Teron Armstead came to the Dolphins with an injury history. I had a coach on the Saints tell me he's a walking ACL injury ready to happen. And he had this long problem with the Saints with injuries. Last year he did not practice at all because they had to keep him off the practice field. He wasn't ready to walk around, really, until late Thursday. And so he would do the walkthrough, on Friday and Saturday, and that was that from a physical standpoint. All these guys, Bradley Chubb, the Denver Broncos traded Bradley Chubb because he had an ACL issue, actually a couple, and they didn't want to pay him a new contract. So they traded him to the Dolphins at a premium, by the way. The Dolphins gave him a contract, and Bradley Chubb didn't play all of last year because of what? He has an ACL issue. There's been Achilles issues. I don't get it. Tua Tagovailoa came to the Dolphins. Why? Because at one point he was supposedly the best quarterback in that class, and then the hip injury happened, and then the Dolphins picked him ahead of Justin Herbert, who is a monster. He is a walking, living, breathing power forward of a quarterback. But the Dolphins went with Tua. Tua has had ankle, shoulder, and, of course, concussion issues with the Dolphins.
This is a pretty dire picture, Armando. What is there a way through where Miami can get back to being a team that can contend for the AFC East, or is it too far gone to you?
No, I mean, obviously, those are a lot of big-name players that I just mentioned, right? Mm-hmm. With the exception of Teron Armstead, who's gone, those guys remain on the team. So if there is a season where everyone's healthy, they're going to be okay. They're going to be good. But how often does that happen in the NFL? That's my point. When you rely on a dozen guys to be your stars and your highly paid stars to have success, you need all those guys to be healthy to be, relevant. And that hasn't been the case of late.
And we haven't even talked about Tyreek Hill in any of this, because that was a pretty rough trip around the sun last year for him, it seemed like. Another guy that,
look, Tyreek is very engaging. He's a fun guy to be around. It's bad when he is also a team captain. He quit the final game of last season in the fourth quarter. declined to continue playing against the Jets. He declined to continue playing after that season finale, like 5 minutes after he has to be traded. I wonder what's going through Tyreek Hill's mind. I don't want to play for you, and I want to be traded at that point. He has since recanted, but in an offseason in which he recanted, he's also had his mother-in-law call the cops on him for abuse of his wife, who now is divorcing him. So now he's going through a divorce. That's going to be great for Tyreek Hill's mindset in 2025. And it's just, I don't know, man. Look, the Kansas City Chiefs didn't want to see Tyreek Hill go, but when he did, they won multiple Super Bowls.
That's confirmed. You know, I don't need us to keep going to keep winding you up. A fun name, though, to add to this list is Darren Waller, all of a sudden, out of retirements. I mean, he's the Jonnu Smith replacement, I guess. Can one be optimistic? Waller at his peak was very good.
He was amazing. He was perhaps arguably the best tight end in the NFL. And then injuries struck. Did I mention injuries previously?
Yes, I know. I felt like he should not be left out.
So injury struck. His career with the Raiders kind of went in downhill. The Giants took a chance on him. He was injured again, and then he decided he wanted to retire to become a rapper.
Yeah.
So the Dolphins traded Jonnu Smith to the Steelers as part of the Jalen Ramsey for Minka Fitzpatrick trade. And, they decided that they're going to bring the oft-injured rapper out of retirement and have him be their guy. And they're not paying him a lot, but that's not the point. The point is they are now counting on him. And when you count on players who have injury histories or who have been talking about getting traded or have, retired or have
or all the above,
medically retired in their past, chances are not great that what lies ahead is all going to be smooth sailing. These guys have flags that you got to consider, and it seems to me that they're not often considered quite enough.
You mentioned at the outset of all this, Jalen Ramsey still, you think, is a good player, very good player maybe. How about Minka Fitzpatrick returning to Miami?
Yeah, so, I mentioned Chris Greer, right, the general manager. Mm-hmm. You got to give him his props. He turned a terrible situation with Jalen Ramsey into, at least a, I would say, even Steven type of situation, because he got a really good player back. Minka Fitzpatrick is 28 years old. Jalen Ramsey's 30. Minka Fitzpatrick is a 3-time All-Pro, 5-time Pro Bowler. He's a good player. So the Dolphins somehow managed to get a good player plus a 5th-round pick for a player that everybody knew they had to trade because Jalen Ramsey absolutely was not going to go back to the Dolphins because the Dolphins absolutely didn't want Jalen Ramsey back. So despite the entire NFL knowing that the Dolphins had to trade Jalen Ramsey, they basically got a good player out of the whole transaction when they easily could have just gotten destroyed in the trade.
Armando, what do you think of the team Ramsey went to? And because the Steelers can be talked about, I'm not criticizing you at all here, but condescendingly with Rodgers and yes, they've had playoff teams, but they've gone out right away year after year here. And they're an easy team to pick on is all I'm saying, maybe like Miami. in this way. Do you think that can work in Pittsburgh? Would you expect like another season like the ones they've had recently, or something else?
So I'm the guy that thinks that Aaron Rodgers is still good. If you look at his tape from last year, I know that he gets caught up in the Jets were a disaster wash last year. But if you separate things out, he is was a 40-year-old guy coming back from an Achilles injury, a ruptured Achilles, and he threw 28 touchdown passes with 11 interceptions. Was that outstanding? Did he miss throws? Did he miss moments where he could have been better and could have raised his game to an MVP level? Yes. But was he a bad quarterback? Dude, I would say a lot of teams would take 28 touchdown passes with 11 interceptions and 4,000 yards, okay? And his arm is still, lively. He's still a hard worker. A lot of people don't like him because he has a different sort of worldview about everything. But I still think that he's solid, and now he's 2 years removed from the Achilles. So at the end of the year, he was moving better than he was at the beginning of the year. I think DK Metcalf is really good. I think they got rid of a guy that is kind of a weirdo.
Pickens.
Yes, and they're putting themselves in a position to a one shot at it, try to make something happen this year, and next year they're going to reset because they've got 12 draft picks and they've got cap space, and everybody's going to be set. They re-signed their general manager, Omar Khan, today. They've already got Mike Tomlin locked up. Those guys are going to be around. The Steelers, come what may, are going to be, staying the course. And I believe that they're going to factor. They're going to be a team to think about, assuming that the T.J. Watt situation, in which they're still negotiating a contract extension, works out. T.J. Watt, that's not to be sneezed at. T.J. Watt wants to be the highest paid edge rusher in the NFL. That means he's got to make more money than Myles Garrett, who's making, on average, $40 million a year.
We'll see what happens there. Armando, real quick before you go, I'm curious about the state of the 72 Dolphins reunions, the annual celebrations when whoever the last undefeated team loses their first game. Kansas City went pretty deep last year. They lost here and then not again until week 18, but that would be the cause for popping the champagne. I know Mercury Morris has died. Do you know how many guys are still left? Is it still something where they get together and still do this?
Yeah, Larry Zonka's still alive. Bob Greasy is still alive. Dick Anderson is still alive. Obviously, a lot of those guys have passed. Nick Bonacani. You mentioned Mercury Morris, who was one of my all-time favorites. What a great dude he was. I think that the whole popping of the champagne thing, that was not a team thing. I think it was, and I'm guilty, it was a media infused celebration of sorts, and a lot of people took it the wrong way because it became a bunch of old guys happy about somebody else's failure. And what people didn't understand is it was a bunch of old guys celebrating their own success. We don't or didn't, and it's not on the same world scale, okay? But we didn't sneer at World War II veterans going back to Normandy and celebrating their victory at Normandy every year. Well, but we did sneer, or at least the NFL did sneer, the Dolphins, the 72 Dolphins, celebrating the fact that they remain the only undefeated team in the history of the NFL. And I think that was a little mistaken, and that was a little poorly, I would say, characterized. But you're absolutely right. Look, time is ultimately the undefeated team, and it's beating up on the 72 Dolphins.
Thanks for filling us in on that. I was curious, and everything else you told us about the Dolphins. We'll see what happens this year. Have a great 4th of July, Armando. Thanks for your time, as always.
Have a great Independence Day, gentlemen. See you.
Thank you, Armando Salguero. I like my champagne media infused, by the way. That's how I like it. He's so interesting. I always like talking to him.
Yeah, me too.
Mike Schopp and the Bulldog at 803-0550. It's been a lot of Sabres this week. I mean, what? We're under 3 weeks until Bills camp. Not too far away to start thinking about that. Well, we're here for your calls as we continue after the update. This is WGR.
We've been living in sin so long, all the feels are gone. Fella stopped me on the street last night, said everything's alright. Roller coaster, make it through the day upright. It seems your meal ticket is gone, but life goes on. I could never imagine something better. Yeah, right. Now you're cooking on high heat in the middle of the street. Roller coaster, take me to a better time. Let's go! All sing your high line with the roller coaster of life. Yeah. It's time to all choose your timeline on the roller coaster of life. You seem to easily forget how to place your bet. When everyday life gets you down, you gotta steal the crown. Got to own it. Don't bitch and moan about it, please. God forbid you scrape your knees, and it's nothing to sneeze at. Oh, I've told you over and over again. You gotta get both hands around it and make your own plans. Roller coaster, it's taking over, it's about time. Oh, all sing your high line on the roller coaster of life. You've got to all choose your timeline with the roller coaster of life. I want to go down the rabbit hole, down the rabbit hole of
The Buffalo Sabres wrapped up development camp today with their 3v3 scrimmage, and for more on that, Paul Hamilton does have a piece up at our website, WGR550.com. And for the most part, this will send the Sabres fully into the off-season. Speaking of the off-season, Nick Ehlers has found his new team. He is signing with Carolina, a 6-year deal worth $8.5 million per year. He was considered the best available unrestricted free agent until today. The Steelers have signed their general manager, Omar Khan, to a 3-year contract extension. That is going to keep him with the team through at least the 2028 season. The Steelers have had a very busy offseason. And then in baseball, the Blue Jays hosting the Yankees just after 7 o'clock. The winner of that game will take the top spot in the AL East. Jays also looking for a sweep of the Yankees if they do win tonight. And then also just after 7, the Mets host Milwaukee. And then in the minors, the Bisons in action tonight against the Red Wings. They're at home. First pitch set for just after 6 o'clock, and that can be heard on our sister station, the Bet 1520. It's Padox Chevrolet Sports Headlines. Padox Chevrolet celebrating 90 years of being your hometown dealership. I'm Zach Jones for WGR Sports Radio 550.
Contest time. Callers 5 and 6 at 716-221-4WGR. It's 4947. Will win a pair of tickets each to see Goo Goo Dolls at KeyBank Center.
Hey now.
Saturday, August 9th, courtesy of New Day Live. Tickets are on sale at Ticketmaster.com. You were right. They were at the Peacock Theater.
Yes, that's right.
Last Friday night.
Yeah. And then got to sort of fill in for our not-so-great English-speaking first-round draft pick that they got to introduce. So they had to stand there with Kevin Adams and whoever else was on. It was Kekalainen and Pagula that were...
And Lindy.
And Lindy, right. So, yeah, that was maybe a little more than they were expecting. I don't know. I think they probably knew who they were picking, but yeah, it was a little odd. The whole show was weird. But cool that they were there. Like I'd been tipped off that they were rehearsing in L.A., so I liked their chances of being there, and they were.
Yeah, I guess I just wrongly envisioned it as being, believe it or not, I thought this might be possible, more Zoomy than what it was, which was very Zoomy.
Yeah.
All the conversations between the players and the teams, come on.
And a lot of these introductions were that, too. Like guys on golf courses and whatever, like just wherever they were, and they happened to be there. So
in their case, they were present. That's right. And there were fans. Didn't exactly have the same vibe as the NFL.
No.
Costumes and just people right up against the stage.
Yeah. I felt like the audience was very dark, the way the show was presented on TV, and I never really even got I heard some people at times, but I never really got a look at what the crowd looked like, which might, you might guess that means it wasn't a capacity crowd.
You could have slept through it.
Yeah.
You could have slept through the NHL draft broadcast. I slept through what I was told this morning, a pretty bad thunderstorm last night.
I did too.
You slept through it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't. I was downstairs too, where I think it would be louder. It was closer, right by the windows.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't. And I had my dog walking all over me. Now, I did notice that at one point that she was not interested in calming down.
Right.
So a couple of times I was maybe about to fall asleep, and I woke up because Margot was walking to a different spot on the couch or something, trying to get comfortable. I was told that my daughter woke up. It was so loud that she got up out of bed and went to see Mom and looked down. She has to walk across this hallway upstairs. She can see down, and I'm asleep on the couch. And she reported that Daddy seems fine, but Margot is walking all over him. So that was last night.
Does Margot get freaked out by the storms, too? Is that part of the reason she might have been walking all over you?
Maybe.
Yeah, I didn't have any. Fred, my wife, worked overnight last night, is working overnight again tonight. Or no, she didn't work. She had the day off yesterday, but still, she slept until we got off the air yesterday and then was up all night and now sleeping at this time to get up to go work again tonight. So what that means is she was up in her studio in the attic making jewelry, and Fred was with her. And so I had no Fred freak out. I had nothing. I slept right through it. We saw it. We were out. Owen and I were out until about 10 o'clock or so last night. And even then, driving back we were in the South Towns and driving back to the city, like the horizon was just full of just lightning in the clouds. Like it was pretty cool to watch. There was no like lightning bolts, but just electricity in the clouds, and it looked pretty badass.
Yeah, I missed all of it. Better last night than tomorrow night.
That's right. Yeah, the forecast looks pretty mint here for tonight, for fireworks, wherever. But Bison's, of course, BPO and the whole thing.
Tonight.
They do their big fireworks show, their biggest fireworks show of the year. And so, forecast looks fantastic. Tomorrow, again, perfect looking day. Like no wind, just sunny, warm. Should be a great 4th.
Plus parades. You don't want thunderstorms for your parade. Doesn't help anybody.
No.
Big
parade guy?
Parade. No, I'm not a big parade guy, as you know. But the island has, the 4th of July parade where people set up days in advance.
And they can still do that? I thought that got, okay,
well,
right.
Now there are signs saying that you can't do it.
Do people just do it anyway?
I don't know what they do.
Because they don't care. I'm doing what I want. You can't be the boss of me.
Well, funny thing in life, sometimes somebody is, like the government. Right. But I was driving down there yesterday, and I didn't see chairs or anything like that.
Okay.
So I think, we've made some...
People are respecting the rules.
I guess. I'd like to think so.
Good.
6 o'clock for the Bisons today that you mentioned. It's been often 6:30, but it's 6 today, probably because of the concert.
Right, I would think so.
Here is Chris with us. Hello, Chris.
How you doing today?
Good. Thank you for calling us.
Love your show.
Thank you. We love it too.
I'm glad you guys do. So I got a weird one. So my mother is cleaning out my grandmother's basement, and my grandfather was a big collectible guy. And she sent me a picture of a left fielder / first baseman for the Giants back in 1959. His name is Willie McCovey.
McCovey.
McCovey, yeah. You know that name?
Sure. Hall of Famer.
Yes, he is. Inducted in 1986. Now, I am not a big baseball guy, but the picture she sent me had his card and a baseball with what appears to be about 7 or 8 Giants names, signatures, and they're sealed in a bag. My question is, what do you know about him? Do you guys know anything about him? Like, is he like something special, or? I'm more of a football, basketball guy.
He's good enough to be in the Hall of Fame. He was never the biggest star, but he had a long, great career. And
22 years, I think.
His cards have some value. His rookie card, a lot of people, I haven't done it for a long time, but when I was collecting, a lot of people like the Hall of Fame rookies. His rookie card, I think, is 1960. So, maybe. I don't know much about the rest of the Giants in those years. Willie Mays would have been on that team, though.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm not asking for value or none of that stuff. I was just curious what you guys knew. I know that Michelle, I know you're a baseball guy and stuff like that. At least from what I can tell from your show. So, and the card that she sent me in the picture was his. It's a Topps 50 year. That's his inducted Hall of Fame card. So it's not his rookie card. It's his Hall of Fame inductee card.
Okay, I don't know much about those, but yeah,
me neither. But I just thought it was really interesting, and I didn't know if it had any kind of value, significance, interest. Just figured I'd call and ask you guys.
Okay. Well,
I appreciate you calling.
I hope we helped.
Yeah. Not an area I have much expertise in. I do know that balls are usually more valuable if there's a singular signature versus multiple signatures. Maybe does that sound right? I don't know.
Can be.
I should stop talking. But Willie McCovey was Willie McCovey is one of these guys that I really liked. His name was just fun to say, Willie McCovey. Like, I don't know. As a kid, I just thought, that guy's cool. Cool name.
Cool name.
The little C. I don't know.
The little C and then the big C right after?
Right. There, how's that for some insight? You guys sound like baseball guys. Listen to me over here.
I have a Willie McCovey signed batting helmet.
Really?
Yes. I have no idea why I own it or how I came to own it, I should say.
Do you know?
But I do own it. I know right where it is.
All right. Do you know when it's from?
No.
Okay.
But it's nice. It's not a game-used helmet.
Okay.
It's a helmet like without the flap or anything like that that you might buy as a collectible. Giants.
Mm-hmm.
He was also a Padre, but Giants, and it has his autograph across the brim there in silver on a black helmet.
All right.
And I see it every day. I walk past it every day. If you ever watch ADP chasing, it's like right over my right shoulder behind the turn there, behind the helmets, the football helmets. And I never think about it. It's just sitting there. Willie McCovey. Serving no real purpose at all. Just like, there it is.
What a coincidence.
Willie
You've
McCovey.
got this item.
Why do
this
I have
guy's
it?
calling us
I
with
have
like
one,
a random card his mom found.
I have one autographed batting helmet. Willie McCovey.
Yeah.
Who I never saw play.
Right.
He retired before I ever saw him. And I have never had any opinion of him. I didn't even care about the small C. have had no ever opinion about Willie McCovey, yet I have the helmet, and I see it every day, and I don't know why I have it, and it's just sitting there.
Without the flap would be how he wore it. Like I would guess.
Okay.
Like flaps weren't.
They didn't have flaps back then?
I don't think. Certainly when he started his career, maybe by
They didn't have
end.
helmets when he started his career.
Right. Okay. But once guys started wearing helmets, it was without the flap, and then that eventually came in. Now we've got the flap, and it's all the way across the mouth and nose to an extent, and just like the little eye, you can just see out of it, basically.
I hate that.
Yeah,
but I guess it's good. One of many things in sports that I hate, but are, I guess, good.
Yeah.
Good developments. There's a 78 Topps, maybe like one of his last cards. It would have to be. There's a 78 Topps record breaker McCovey card right, I think, near the front of the set. I think those cards are like the first 6 or 7 cards in the set. But I don't remember what the record is. You wouldn't know this as a McCovey fan.
No.
What would be the record?
No. My fandom really begins and ends with the man's name. That's it. That's it. That's all I got.
Well, I mean, there's lots of those guys through the years, right?
Yeah.
We just love their names. Hawk and Lube comes right to mind for me. I love this guy. I've never watched him. He plays for Calgary. I never see Calgary in the 80s, but there's Hawk and Lube scoring 50 goals. Maybe?
Yes.
50 goals?
Yes.
That's a great name.
Yep.
I love him because of his name. Thanks, Chris. Mike Schopp and the Bulldog here. We'll take a break. This is WGR. back. We haven't talked about the current Sabres today yet. We did spend ample time on the 83 team, my new favorite Sabres team, the 83 Sabres, that won a round, which is, good, but then lost in heartbreaking fashion in the division finals to Brad Park's goal in overtime of Game 7. The current team, are we kind of done for now? Adam spoke yesterday. The Blues were on Twitter.
Yeah.
He talked about on Twitter a lot today as a possible partner for Byron
Jeremy
trade.
Rutherford is a longtime Blues reporter. I think even I remember talking to him. I think you were off.
Miller?
The Miller trade day. I think right before that trade happened, that afternoon, that show, I talked to him. And then I was supposed to talk to Darcy. No. It was Tim Murray by then. And then at the last minute, Mike Gilbert texted me and said, Tim's not coming. Okay, something's happening. And then, sure, before the game, the trade was made. Anyway, Rutherford's been there a long time. He's now with The Athletic. I think at that time he was with the Post-Dispatch or something in St. Louis covering the Blues. Yeah, he said earlier the Blues are still working on a Byram deal. They would still like to get their hands on Bo Byram. He also speculated that it wouldn't surprise him if still an offer sheet were possible. Not from the Blues. They did that last year. I don't think they've got the picks to do it. Again, they did it with 2 guys from Edmonton last year. Not high level, but still they're short on picks to do it themselves. But that maybe some other team could do it. And that was about an hour or 2 before our show started, and I've not seen anything since.
No. The Blues saying, I'm assuming his sources are with the Blues, that they're working pretty hard, wasn't that the quote? Pretty hard to get Byram. I felt the Sabres have been working pretty hard to trade him, although they would not say it that way. They would not say they've been working pretty hard to trade him. What the Sabres say in situations like these, as they've been saying, is we're happy to keep him.
Right. If we can make our team better, yada, yada.
But I thought the way his name was so often mentioned leading up to July 1st that the same people who would call the Sabres but would get the information that he's somebody that they're calling on or teams are calling them about. I've thought, to put that shorter, that they've wanted to trade Byram, but they failed to. And so the idea that, if I'm right, they don't have to be right, the Sabres want to trade Byram and the Blues have been working hard to get him, there's got to be a big difference in how the two teams
Yes.
see the player.
Can we possibly get connected here?
Do the Blues just call back every hour? Because they're working so hard to get him, and the Sabres listen. They take the call every hour because they want to do this, but they're so far apart on how good they think he is that they can't do it. I don't know.
The way they have sounded, the way Adams has sounded about Byram sounds a lot to me like the way he sounded about Middlestat last spring before they traded Middlestat to Colorado for Byram. I'm not chopping this player. I'm not trying to move this player. I'm not blah, blah, blah. Make the team better, yada, yada, yada. And then, they traded him. For both. They got a deal they liked, and they made the deal. And so, here we are.
Here we are.
I don't know. Maybe we'll all get, over our corn on the cob and hot dogs tomorrow. Maybe something will happen. I don't know. I'm not optimistic.
Will we have to come in?
But it was.
I don't want this trade tomorrow. That's not a trade we come in for.
Let me see if I can figure out how to turn my phone off.
What if Dahlin is traded tomorrow? Do we come in? Does somebody come in? Somebody's on the air if Dahlin is traded tomorrow, right?
Zach, what are you doing tomorrow?
Barbecue starts around now.
Wheel of names.
Right.
I'm not sure
this is where
Byram would make it.
This is where having equipment in your attic that would allow you to go on live from home could come in handy. Although
it cost you.
I'm going out. I don't even know if I'll have cell service where I'm going.
Yeah, that could backfire. Having the capacity to host the show tomorrow could backfire on you. I don't think we have to worry. How about some reverse AFC power rankings? It's been a couple of weeks, long enough. It became a Friday, almost an institution, I would say. I've got this piece of paper ready. There's a crease. Speaking of the baseball card guy who called in, there's a crease on this piece of paper. I don't know if we should use it.
I think you need a clean sheet there. You can't have a crease on that. I mean, that's going to be around for all time because it's in the mix of your reverse AFC power rankings lists, and you can't have a crease. Oh, geez. These papers are in ill form.
Switch.
Those are there's curled edges there. It looks like your favorite book you've been reading over and over again.
Well, this is an NFC one. But yes, we have 20 or so pages of reverse AFC Power Rankings history. Just, this is me for you. Very casually sitting here in a pile.
I love that about it. I've got one. I have one. It's out of the camera's view. I have a list of the Sabres line combinations that's pinned to the bulletin board in here next to a Blues Brothers concert poster for a concert that never happened in South Buffalo. At least that's how I remember the story when Greg brought us that poster, because we complained we didn't have anything on the walls, and he brought us this poster. So thank you, Greg. That's there. I've crossed out some names that were here, and there's some other names in their place, but I'm
Lafferty.
I'm sort of holding a spot. I have not put a new name in place of Peterka.
Yeah, well, neither have they.
Right.
Reverse AFC Power Rankings next. Happy 4th of July. Mike Schopp and the Bulldog, WGR.
Wrapped up development camp today with their 3v3 tournament. For more on that, Paul Hamilton has a piece up at our website, WGR550.com. And with that, it does, for the most part, send the Sabres into the off season. But teams are still continuing to make signings, as today, Nick Ehlers picked his next team. Signs with Carolina, 6 years, $8.5 million per year. The Steelers announced today they are signing general manager Omar Khan to a 3-year contract. That is going to keep him with the team through at least the 2028 season. The Steelers, of course, have had a very busy offseason. The trade for DK Metcalf and the signing of Aaron Rodgers, some of the notable moves from them. Jays are hosting the Yankees. That's just after 7 o'clock. The winner is going to be sitting atop the AL East, though the Tampa Bay Rays are not far behind. And then also just after 7, the Mets will host Milwaukee. Those two teams split a doubleheader yesterday. And the Bisons, they are in action tonight at home against the Red Wings. First pitch set for just after 6 o'clock, and that game will be over on our sister station, the Bet 1520. That's your Padox Chevrolet Sports Update. Padox Chevrolet celebrating 90 years of being your hometown dealership. I'm Zach Jones for WGR Sports Radio 550.
If only, just come for the music, really.
That's why I'm here.
Just,
they pay me
if only for the music. Please enjoy the Reverse AFC Power Rankings. Back after, let's see, June 13th, I have. Today is July 3rd. That is more than 2 weeks.
That's a hiatus.
That is almost 3. I think tomorrow would be 3 weeks.
It's a sabbatical almost. No,
where did they go?
Sabbatical has to be more than a few weeks.
Reverse AFC Power Rankings powered by Empire Electric, your residential neighborhood electrician. Visit EmpireElectricians.com. We did go with a perfully new, clean,
oh, look at that.
Two-sided blank.
Did you go get that out of the printer outside here, or what?
Almost. I go to the printer, and there's a stack of plain white paper. All right, July 3rd. It's almost been so long that who even cares the order the last time we did this?
And you don't have it right there in front of you, although you
it's
have
over
the other.
there.
It's over there. Yeah, see, that's out of view though,
because it's a new page.
Yeah. Wow, this could be entirely different.
It could. It could.
I'm not sure without the cheat sheet how I feel about these football teams.
All right, well, let's decide. 16.
Bills. See, I told you.
You forgot the whole premise, or just decided. You're just not a Josh Palmer guy after all, and they're the worst team in the league now.
It's that story about Keenan Coleman from yesterday that we talked about. That tipped it. They plummeted from 1 to... No, anyway. No, not...
one thing about the Bills, this can wait. I'll save it for...
They are a team in the AFC that will
segment.
be mentioned here. Yeah.
I'll make a note of it and save it for next segment. Or it'll come up when we get to the Bills, and when it would do it seriously. 16. There's one team I'm not going to go with here. I will go Tennessee this time. 16. Not feeling it. In drafts, what do you do with the Tennessee Titans? You pick or not pick Calvin Ridley in like the 5th round. That never seems fun. Pollard in the 8th round, Spears in the 12th round, Cam Ward whenever, and that's it. Tyler Lockett goes undrafted. He's their wide receiver too, maybe right now.
Tyler Lockett is on the Tennessee Titans.
Chigokonkwo. They might have the fewest number of players that get drafted in fantasy. 4. And in a regular league, Cam Ward would not get drafted either.
Got to be a 2-quarterback league for him to get picked?
A best ball league, you want to have a second quarterback because of bye weeks and different stat combinations.
Okay.
But when we draft, well, that's a super flex league. When you have your home league and you wouldn't draft a backup quarterback in that almost ever, Cam Ward would not get picked. So it's a very short list. Mm-hmm. Tennessee for me.
I was thinking about them for this versus, say, the Jets. Just walking around during the break before this segment. And while the Jets, I don't have any faith at all that they're going to be any good this year. I don't have any faith in Justin Fields. That's a large part of it. They're just kind of starting over, just all new people in place. Whereas the Titans, yes, they've got the quarterback, but it wasn't a great class, so he's at the top, and, what really is that? I don't think I really have a lot of faith in the coach. To me, this could turn into a Bears rookie year for Caleb Williams with Cam Ward, where Eberflus is there and nope, this ain't. See you later. That could be Callahan, and the Jets are at least going to be stable. They're not going to be good. They're necessarily going to be any better than the Titans are. But I think I would rather. I can't believe I'm saying this. I'd rather be the Jets than the Titans right now. I think.
I don't know if I would say that. The Titans are still my pick, though.
I'm wrestling between the Jets and the Titans, I guess is what you're getting here from me.
Well, you only have until 6:55 at the latest.
All right. Turn the music up. Just let everybody enjoy the sounds. All right. Zach, do you have a different team you're thinking of?
No, I mean, I kind of did, but the more names Mike mentioned, the less I like Tennessee. Like when we got to Tyler Lockett, it became bad. It got real bad.
All right.
They have two rookies. Alec Iamaner, who I liked for the Bills as an idea from Stanford, Canadian, and Xavier Restrepo, who ran the really slow time.
Mm-hmm.
I think he went undrafted. So they do have two guys that could come in over Lockett. Lockett seemed like he was done last year in Seattle. But still, what's that?
Treylon Burks.
And they have Treylon Burks.
Oh, man. The Cam Ward red flag going on a Twitch stream and being like, we got Treylon Burks, top 5 receiver. No, get out of here. Done.
All right, Tennessee.
15.
Jets.
Cleveland.
Jets. Because the one team earlier I said I didn't want to mention was the Browns. Because I'm starting to think a little bit about if they have a good enough roster with Flacco starting to begin the season that they're maybe not terrible.
It's happened before.
It has happened before.
Just 2 years ago.
They made the playoffs with that team.
Right.
So I don't know. I mean, it's the rookie running backs. Really don't know all of it. They got out on Hunter, obviously, trading that pick. And drafted an offensive lineman with number 5. I'm kind of...
No, defensive lineman, didn't they?
Defensive lineman.
Right. The kid from
Interior
Michigan.
Defensive lineman, right?
Grant. No,
Mason
not Graham.
Graham.
Graham, thank you.
I'm not super down on them, right, lately. Still, though, 14. Who else could it be? Who do you like at 14?
Them. The Browns, I think.
Two votes for Cleveland?
I think I'll go Cleveland here, yeah.
Okay. 13. Colts.
Yeah.
That's another one where I could talk myself, as we say, tell yourself a story. You tell yourself a story that Daniel Jones, mobile, athletic, that's a little bit the same thing. Jonathan Taylor, line works out. I'm not sure how that stands right now, actually, but who knows every year to year.
Mm-hmm.
And Downs is good. Pittman's good. AFC South. Maybe it's the time of year.
You could talk yourself into almost anything.
Yeah, maybe.
If you're talking yourself into Daniel Jones might be good for them. You are doing some heavy lifting.
I know. That's right.
I think.
Maybe it's the time of year.
Giants had decent talent when he was their guy, didn't they? Not great, but decent.
Okay.
And
they only managed to win a road playoff game, which the last Bills quarterback to do that is Kelly. I just deliberately dumped that on you.
Well, I mean, it happened, so
it's true.
I can't dispute it, but it was the Kirk Cousins Vikings. I mean, I don't know.
Yes. With their fancy negative point differential. 12.
I feel like this has gotten harder.
The time of year. It's hope season, right?
Right.
The off season is hope season. I'm talking myself into the Browns and using and Daniel Jones Colts and referencing the playoffs in both cases.
And I'm telling you, I'd rather be the Jets than anybody, which is kind of incredible.
Yeah, since when do you say that?
Yeah, never.
I'm real concerned for both of you.
Miami.
Just trying to keep. Thank you. Right.
There we go.
Yeah.
Miami at 12.
Considering our earlier conversations today with Armando Salguero, yes, the Dolphins.
And even Sam.
Right.
11.
Raiders.
Pittsburgh.
I can only go so high with that team.
Okay.
10.
I'm going to stick with the Raiders.
I'll say New England.
It's week 1, isn't it?
Yes.
New England here.
Probably some version of New England has been good more recently than the Raiders, who are almost always some sort of a punchline, even though they've got good people there, respectable people in all the really key spots, right? Chip Kelly, offensive coordinator, Pete Carroll, head coach, Geno Smith, quarterback, like that could work, but I like the Patriots more than them, I guess.
Aaron Schatz didn't sound too enthused about either team, actually. We asked him about New England, too, but I asked him about the Raiders toward the end of our conversation with him yesterday, and he's like, not really. He wasn't that excited.
Yeah.
9.
I can get with New England here.
New England's 10.
Oh, New England was 10.
Yeah.
Won the
vote.
vote.
Okay, then the Raiders.
Raiders here.
8. Jacksonville.
Yeah. I can be liking them, and the coach can only get you so far. I can't put them ahead of any of these teams right now. Oh, maybe Houston. I could.
I already wrote it.
Okay.
Sorry.
I mean, then
since you had to have a clean piece of paper.
Yeah.
I think at this point,
I'll have to own that.
I think at this point, I'd start over. I mean, I just rewrite it if we had a conflict. We had a problem. I would just, because the page is the first column.
Oh, I
on
see.
This page,
Yeah,
I think I would rewrite it.
It's early enough that you could still. Yeah, don't worry about it.
I won't for now. Hopefully, it doesn't come to that.
Well, tomorrow, when the Sabres make a huge trade for, what name do I want here? Jordan Kyrou, and you have to come in, you can rewrite it.
I'm not coming in for Jordan Kyrou.
You keep putting that out in the universe. They're going to do something, and we're going to be told to come in. I'm going to hold this against you.
There might be, how many NHL players could the Sabres trade for tomorrow, and we're in here?
Crosby, McDavid,
Eichel.
Eichel, sure. Eichel.
You two keep doing this.
Eichel.
Yep.
1 year left on his deal.
Time to move.
Let's go through that again.
Oh, my Lord.
Can you imagine that? What's that trade?
Tuck.
What is that trade?
Krebs.
Tuck. That's it. That's right. We know. We know what that trade is. Tuck's on the last year of his deal.
Couple of picks.
Lines up.
All right, make it happen.
Everybody's missing their old stomping grounds.
I keep hearing chatter about a potential Eichel trade. I don't know. Oh, my God. If you just turned on the radio, no. Sorry. I'm not hearing anything. I'm not even hearing myself, thank God.
What would it be? They would trade for him with, I don't know if he has a no-move clause. Probably would. The Sabres wrote it.
Right.
They would know what his contract says. They trade him here. He decides to just put up with it. I got 1 year. He doesn't say like he would never. Doesn't say anything too inflammatory about his future. Doesn't swear off the idea of playing out his career here. But also, it isn't just like I'm not doing it. Like he's back.
Right.
What does it sound like in the building night one? Do we boo him?
No, it's desperate, conflicted applause. I don't know. I don't really know what that manifests itself into, but it's just like I don't really know what the hell to do. But you're good, I guess. I don't know. Oh my God, kill me.
And he wears 15.
I think that's what it is.
He comes back and wears 15.
Everyone's just waiting for the first person next to them to start clapping, and they feel comfortable to start doing it.
Is this okay? Are we just nodding? Oh yeah, I got yeah. Woo!
There's no universe where this would happen. 7. Chargers.
This has been a ride already. Sure. Oh.
I haven't written anything. I almost did.
I'm going to go with Houston, too.
Okay. I guess you guys don't watch football.
No. Not. Are there games?
Football's overrated.
You don't watch the playoffs where these teams met. 6.
Did Herbert throw 4 picks in that game?
Yes.
He did, yeah.
3 during the season.
Yeah.
4 in the
best
playoffs.
stat from last year.
Good Lord.
I heard
you say that earlier today.
They got up in that game, and the game started like they were going to blow Houston out, and they ended up getting blown out somehow. 6. I'm on L.A.
Yeah, fine.
Chargers here.
Yeah.
5. Cincinnati.
Sure. I think I like Denver more than them. At least today.
Don't people say about Denver like that they have a great roster?
Yes.
Defensively, they're great. Mm-hmm. Surtain. And then Nix was good enough. All he did was throw for more yards, a higher completion percentage, and more touchdowns than the literal MVP of the NFL as a rookie. How did he not win it? Who was expecting Denver to be good? The Bills are always good. I don't even know if he got a vote. He didn't even come close to Offensive Rookie of the Year either because of Daniels. Sneaky Denver. R.J. Harvey will be the one to watch for Denver at running back. 2nd round pick. Central Florida, maybe?
Central Florida, yep.
R.J. Harvey. And they have J.K. Dobbins now. 4. Denver.
Sure. Yep.
All that shine, and there I go, picking them as the worst remaining team. 3. Chiefs.
Kansas City.
Aaron Schatz, speaking of him, had no trouble saying, it just rolled off his tongue that the Bills and Ravens were a cut above the Chiefs.
Yep.
I guess he doesn't watch football in the playoffs either. Nobody watches the playoffs. That's probably better. We're probably better off.
Right.
2.
I'll say Ravens.
Bills.
Why do you guys hate the Bills? I'll hang up and listen. Yous guys. You know, it's the 4th of July. I'm only trying to eat a hot dog. You gotta go and put. You know the Bills beat them in the playoffs. Sorry, I'll stop.
Kansas City 3 is my response to that made-up caller.
Yep.
We put Kansas City 3rd. I guess I missed that game too. The Bills-Chiefs playoff game. I missed that game too because I'm putting the Bills as better than the Chiefs.
Yeah, it was a while ago now. What happened again?
What did happen? One thing that happened is that James Cook had 2 touchdowns. Samuel the other.
Okay. One of them was I don't remember the other touchdown. I remember the one that was like a statue would be outside the stadium if they'd won the Super Bowl of him with that hand planted on the ground reaching. What an incredible play that was. And it would make a great statue. Right.
Cook had a first half touchdown also. He had 2.
All right.
And Samuel had 1. And also, Mac Hollins had a touchdown catch in that game. So the Bills scored 29 points on 4 touchdowns.
They went for 2 once and made it?
They went for 2 twice. And missed both. So 26 and then a field goal.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
That's the same thing that happened to the Ravens in their loss here. The Ravens lost by 2.
Right.
And went for 2 twice and missed.
Right. One, Bernard deflected it, and then the other one, Andrews couldn't
dropped.
Bring it in. Yeah.
That's what I was going to say. Cook had 2 touchdowns. What happened on Championship Sunday? James Cook had 2 touchdowns, and Zach Ertz in the earlier game for Washington had 11 catches for over 100 yards. And I suffered a terrible beat in fantasy because I had this best ball tournament where you advance each week. I thought I had it locked up. I fell for it. Never do this. I wrote down all the rosters on a spreadsheet and tried to see like what my odds would be. I was just super excited about this one. I think last place the next week, like Super Bowl week, would have been $1,000. Like, and we got way bigger. And I just I was cocky. There's no way the only way I'm losing is if Kelsey bombs, Cook hits. I was a little afraid of Cook. And Ertz. And what happens in that nonsense NFC game? Washington gets behind by 100, and it's just I'm losing my mind. I got to come in here. It's Bills Chiefs, the AFC Championship. All I can think about is Zach Ertz catching 6-yard pass after 6-yard pass and getting tackled. And there went that money. Never had it. And Kelsey, by the way, in the AFC Championship, 2 for 19. The Bills gave up 32 points to a bad Kansas City offense.
That's what happened in the
And
AFC
Kelsey had
game.
2 catches for 19 yards.
Yep. It's one of the things that happened, along with these other things, and the Bills also having the ball around midfield with a chance to win the game at the end, after the defense did actually stop Kansas City on their second to last possession. They did get a couple first downs and run the clock out, as it turned out.
Didn't they kick a field goal to go ahead? They kicked a field goal. The Chiefs kicked a field goal. They were stopped, but they kicked a field goal to go ahead. And then...
Oh, that's what it was? Okay.
Yeah.
I thought there was a
3.5
possession
minutes.
okay. All right.
They stopped him earlier, I think, maybe, at least once. They got to stop. Hang the banner. I mean, they got to stop in the playoff game against Kansas City.
Or held them to a field goal is what I...
Right. I mean, that's the absolute bottom line story about those 1, 2, 3, 4 playoff losses to the Chiefs. Now that guy can call in and be upset. Now he has a right to.
Mm-hmm.
Why are we dwelling on this? 803-0550, Mike Schopp and the Bulldog, WGR.
WGR550.com. And with that, it does send the Sabres, for the most part, into the offseason, but teams are still making signings. Carolina did today with forward Nick Ehlers. 6 years, $8.5 million per year. Ehlers was seen as the best available unrestricted free agent after the first day of free agency. Steelers announced they have signed their general manager, Omar Khan, to a 3-year contract that is going to keep him with the team through at least the 2028 season. And then baseball today, Jays hosting Yankees just after 7 o'clock. The winner will take the top spot in the AL East, but Tampa Bay is lurking not that far behind. And then also just after 7, the Mets host Milwaukee. And then locally, the Bisons in action tonight at home against the Red Wings. First pitch just after 6. That's going to be in just about a half hour. And then it can be heard over on our sister station, the Bet 1520. It's your Padox Chevrolet Sports Update. Padox Chevrolet celebrating 90 years of being your hometown dealership. I'm Zach Jones for WGR Sports Radio 550.
Contest time once again. Callers 5 and 6 at 716-221-4WGR. That's 4947. Win a pair of tickets each to see Goo Goo Dolls at KeyBank Center Saturday, August 9th, courtesy of New Day Live. Tickets are on sale at Ticketmaster.com. Welcome back. Mike Schopp and the Bulldog here. Let's go to JC next. Hello, JC.
Hello.
Hello. What's up?
I am calling from Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, and I just want to say that you guys do the greatest job, way better. I might get excommunicated here, but you do way better than our sportscasters here.
I think I'm going to be there tonight.
Oh, really?
I think so. My son is playing lacrosse there tonight.
In Hamilton?
In Hamilton.
Oh.
Awesome. Well,
awesome.
I appreciate the compliment. That's nice of you to say. One of my favorite radio shows happens to be a show based out of Toronto that's on opposite ours. So I appreciate the compliment, but thank you.
Fantastic. Well, I just wanted to bring up something, and I'm wondering what you guys think of this. I'm a Portuguese Canadian, so I grew up as a soccer fan. And I remember the day I became a Buffalo Bills fan. It was 1989. I was at the Walden Galleria. My family was doing the cross-border shopping. And there were people lined up for autographs. And there was this big guy signing autographs. Had no clue who he was. Turns out to be Bruce Smith. He asked me how long I was a Buffalo Bills fan. I said, "What's a Buffalo Bill?" And he said, "Well, today you've just become a fan." And since 1989, I've been a diehard Buffalo Bills fan. And I just wanted to make a comment on that. But I wanted to ask you guys, what do you think of, you know how in soccer they do club friendlies where teams that never play each other just to get their legs under them and see how they're playing. The Buffalo Bills playing the Hamilton Tiger Cats.
I mean, I don't know. I don't want to kill the idea. I just don't know who would want it.
Oh, I guess people in Hamilton would, but I guess people in Buffalo wouldn't care.
I think that's probably right.
Yeah.
And the NFL schedule, the calendar is so kind of built in. When would it happen? It might have to happen now. And I think they would say nobody's in shape to do that. It's not like they couldn't play.
Yeah.
But
these teams in America don't even want to have their stars play their own preseason games. So you'd have a very hard time, I think, getting NFL teams to agree to any kind of exhibition against almost any competition.
It'd be fun.
Yeah, sure. I think it'd be a curiosity, It's a little bit of what would it look like if Alabama played the worst NFL team, kind of like that idea.
That I'd rather watch.
Yeah.
I think.
But I think where you end up is it doesn't have to be, but my sense of those thought experiments are usually the NFL team is going to kill them.
Yeah,
probably.
I guess you guys are right. Yeah, I guess you're right. I was just dreaming.
Yeah, sure. I mean, it's a cool idea. I don't know. I've never heard it, presented as an idea. So, I mean, cool thought. I don't want to shut you down, but I just don't think it's realistic.
I'm just happy to have had the time with you guys. Love hearing you. Like I said, you guys are my favorite broadcasters. You cover the Bills amazingly. You're all I listen to get ready for fantasy. And, go Bills. And I can't wait to be there week 2 when Buffalo takes on Baltimore.
Very good. Thanks for calling.
All right, JC.
Week 1.
Week 1, right. Season opener. Sunday Night Football.
I'm thinking about how in baseball, parent clubs would play farm teams. Has the show ever sounded older than a reference to that?
Right.
Just got done reading The Bronx Zoo, and there's one of those in that book where Sparky Lyle says how the Yankees hated, was it Columbus maybe even then? Like they all hated the idea of going, but, had to do it. And some guys didn't go. I think that's what happened in the book. My story of, I have 2. No, I guess it's the same year. I love this story. Working in Rochester, 97 or 8, I want to say. The Red Wings, who are in Buffalo tonight, had moved into their new stadium. And I worked mornings and got hardly ever, was there a scoop or anything, I'd roll in there at 10 to 5, be on the air at 5:06 with just what happened last night in sports. But there was a report in Baltimore that the Orioles did not want to play the Red Wings, and they weren't going to. The game was in a few days, and it was at a tipping point with this where this team said no, the players were boycotting it. And that was the Orioles team that everybody hated with Albert Bell and Palmeiro. Everybody loved Ripken, but still, they had all these big Brady Anderson, all these stars, and they told the media, Baltimore Sun maybe found out that the Orioles didn't want to go to Rochester, which not only was that an annual thing, but Rochester was always so proud of its history with the Orioles. Basically, the Red Wings went almost 50 years with the Cardinals and then the Orioles. Ripken played there. They had Palmer. They had so many guys. And here it was 5 o'clock in the morning. I was going to go on the air and say, they're not coming. Baltimore Sun reports they're not coming.
Cowboy Dan's not coming.
So I called the GM of the Red Wings at 5 o'clock in the morning, and I knew him, Dan Mason. I knew him. I'm like, Dan, I'm so sorry to do this to you. You're probably not up, but I need you to know this, and I need to know what you think of it. But the Orioles say they don't want to come to Rochester. And he gave me a comment, and I don't know how it went from there, except they did come. And I was in the stadium for this game. It was all of them. Messina, right? They had a ton of stars, late 90s. And it was the top of the first inning. Anderson probably led off the game. Packed house. You know how this ends?
I think so. I'm smiling because I'm not sure if it's because you've told the story. You probably have told the story
I tell it
before.
any chance I get.
Okay, so then it definitely has been told because you've had a chance. We've been together more than 20 years now. But I feel like I've seen a photo that is how this is going to end.
I wonder.
If I
maybe
remember right. And I might be conflating two different Albert Bell stories. Anyway, go ahead.
Top of the first, Anderson leads off probably for the Orioles. I don't remember what happened there. And then Ripken bats second, and Ripken's in the on-deck circle, and Rochester loves Ripken. Half the crowd is just there to see him.
Right.
Probably. And maybe more. So there's Cal in the on-deck circle. Anderson's at bat, makes an out. Ripken goes up to bat. Crowd goes crazy. Bell bats third. It's probably not even how they usually rank their order. It was probably just so Ripken and maybe Anderson and Albert Bell could leave the game as soon as they batted one time.
Right.
So, and Ripken did. He batted in the top of the first and left the game. Bell comes out with his jacket on.
Right, that's it.
Middle of summer. He's got a black Orioles jacket on. On deck circle. The crowd would have booed him. You would have had, at the same time, lustrous cheers for Cal Ripken and boos for Albert Bell.
He was a huge villain in the game.
He was. He's an all-timer for
Corked
this.
bats, just temper, and just a nasty piece of business.
Which, going back, if I could, I would like him. But I didn't. I felt I'd go for the same narratives.
Else.
So, all right. Everybody's cheering Ripken and booing Albert Bell. He's got his jacket on. Ripken strikes out, I think. He didn't want to get on base. So he strikes out. And Bell goes up to bat with his jacket on. He leaves it on.
Right. That's it. I must have recently. I know you telling this story now that you're through it, and I just at some point or another, maybe we passed the anniversary at some point. I just know I saw a photo of him standing at the plate with the jacket on.
I've never seen a picture of it, but I can see it in my memory right now, from way up on the third baseline, looking down, and there is the Orioles dugout for that game would have been on the third base side, because I think I see them in the on-deck circle right down in front of me. And then he went to bat and left the jacket on, and then he struck out on purpose, probably, and left. That was their compromise.
The jacket is amazing, right?
We'll go, but we're not going to try.
Right.
And then, the Orioles backups all go in, who'd all probably bet on Rochester that season.
Right.
And now it's an intra-squad game.
Right.
But, yeah, that happened. And that was about the end of the tradition. Like, it might have been the very end in terms of those teams. But that doesn't happen. That's been gone a long time.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't remember the last time. It might have been when Cleveland, at some point while Cleveland was the parent club of the Bisons, that they did it. I seem to remember seeing Cleveland do that with the Bisons.
I wonder.
But
I think of the Cleveland team that I think of was all on the Bisons. I get confused. Maybe they were actually playing for the Bisons.
Right,
Pittsburgh did it. Bonds, I think.
Yeah.
Didn't Bonds hit one?
Andy Van Slyke, I remember being here to play against them, I think.
Didn't Bonds hit one out of the stadium?
Yeah, I don't remember that.
That would be my guess, but I don't know. Like, it's been 20-plus years.
I could easily be mistaken about Cleveland doing it.
I don't know. Maybe you might be right. I don't know. So, yeah.
Those were the days.
Thanks, JC, for all the nice words and for calling. Mike Schopp and the Bulldog, WGR. Happy 4th, almost. Mike Schopp and the Bulldog here. Plans tomorrow. Parades, fireworks, the grill, golf for you, swimming. I'm going to try to convince, I don't know, it might not be possible, but I'm hopeful. My wife's brother's family, who are traveling up from Orlando tomorrow for a few days.
Mm-hmm.
Now, he has spent lots of time in Buffalo, college, her family. My father-in-law is from Kenmore. Like, he's not, like he's never been up here. He's not afraid of snow or anything like that. It's not like that at all.
Mm-hmm.
He went to the Baltimore playoff game. Their family was up here for that, too. I'm going to try to get them in the river this weekend.
All right.
The kids are about the same age as mine, maybe like 14 and 12, something like that. Wife's from Philly. How hard a job do you think I'll have trying to get a family like I've just described into the river this weekend to swim?
What does the river look like? Like, does it look?
I'm thinking of my sister's house. So dock, a tower to jump off of.
Okay, but
it's 4 or 5 feet deep. You can walk around.
Doesn't look brown and murky. It looks like looks.
Depends on the sky.
Okay. It's going to be beautiful.
Okay.
This is tomorrow we're talking about?
One of these days coming up.
Okay.
Between tomorrow and Monday.
I think your chances are very good. I think they're very good.
How do I sell it? I did this every day, every summer for my whole childhood. Jumping off this dock
there's
and
a
this
dock,
tower.
There's a ladder to get back onto the dock, right? So
Yep.
it's not, yeah. You got a great look at this.
Okay.
I think. You've got the house, a sister. You got the property.
Yes.
You got the dock. I don't even know really what else you need. Do you have flotation devices if they're needed?
We can get them.
Okay. You got a cooler?
We can get them.
I think you are all. I think you're all set. I think this happens. Yeah. I mean, I don't need to tell you I would do that in a second, but I'm not them. But I like your chances.
Might be able to get the pool ready, but if I can't, I've had another struggle with it this summer so far. But the river, right? I mean, now we live on West River where you can walk in. Maybe we start there, sort of very shallow.
Mm-hmm.
Just walk down the hill and then very shallow,
just sort of wade
calm
in
water.
Yeah, right.
Now you're in the river.
Right.
It's just barely above your feet.
Right.
We'll take the dog down. The dog can demonstrate how much fun it can be
to
swim, to jump around in the river. So that's one of my goals for this weekend.
Dog approved.
Is to jump off that tower for the first time this year. My dad built that in the 80s. And it's still there. It's not 4 feet deep there, by the way. That would be very dangerous.
Yeah, no.
It's 9-10 feet at the end of the dock.
You don't want that. Yeah.
Bison's about to get started. This is one of their bigger nights on the calendar.
For sure. This and Star Wars night, but this predates Star. They've been doing this every year that I can remember. Around 4th of July, July 3rd, as it is the case, and it's often not on the 4th. But yeah, BPO and the big fireworks show and the whole thing, I'm sure it'll be a scene down there.
If you're going, feel free to let me know if you use any of the bets we used to use at Bison's games. Mound ball. Mound ball's eternal. Will the ball end up on the mound after the inning is over? Yes or no? Greg Bauk and I bet the fireworks. The last color. First color, last color is easy. Will the third base umpire do anything in a given inning?
Moon bet.
Like
don't forget moon bet.
I love moon bet.
Do not sleep on moon bet.
Where is it in relation to the field, the scoreboard after an inning? Basically, how long is the inning? Moon bet. Really want to do your research on that one. Speaking of betting, I guess, Sam Panayotovich joined us earlier today, and we kind of went long on the hot dog eating contest. You can apparently, I don't know about New York, I didn't look that up, but it's bettable. People do it. Sam's here to prove it after the update. Mike Schopp and the Bulldog, WGR.